In Foxborough, this does not feel calm right now. It feels like a choice is coming fast, because when the draft, the market, and a major rumor all start crashing into the same moment, the Patriots cannot afford to read this thing wrong. Today's package is loaded. There's a bold offensive possibility, a cheap way to toughen up the pass rush, serious smoke around the receiver room, and a draft projection that could split the fan base right down the middle. Hit the like button and stay with me because this one deserves a sharp read. I'm going to say something some people might call a reach, but I don't see it that way at all. If the Patriots truly view Kenyon Sadiq as a rare talent, they cannot treat that possibility like dumb pre-draft fantasy. You can debate the cost. You can debate the timing. You can debate whether other needs matter more. But ignoring the impact of a player like that would be way too small for a moment this big. Hunter Henry still produces. He still helps. He is still a respected piece of this offense. But the clock is moving. He is entering the final year of his deal, and it no longer makes sense to think about this position only in the short term. Austin Hooper's exit left this room thinner. Julian Hill came in with much more of a blocking profile, and the rest of the group just does not bring proven NFL production. Take Henry out of the equation, and the reality gets pretty cold for a team that wants to speed up Drake Maye's development. And that is where Sadiq changes the weight of this conversation. The guy is coming off a massive season at Oregon, stacked national recognition, produced touchdowns like nobody else among college tight ends, and brings the kind of profile that forces defenses to adjust. This is not just pretty catches. This is a real threat, a mismatch, burst, big ceiling, the kind of name that makes a defensive coordinator uncomfortable before the snap even happens. Now let's be real with each other. Sitting at pick 31, New England probably does not get near him. If the market read is right, he has gone well before that. So now the conversation changes. How far is Elliott Wolf willing to move the board? Because he already left the door open to moving up if the board calls for aggression. With 11 picks in hand, and a bunch of them later on, there is ammo to try a calculated jump. Of course that costs you. A move like that can eat up valuable capital, especially with other things still hanging over this offseason. Tackle, edge, even a possible veteran receiver move later on. All of that matters. But the draft is also about recognizing when a fit like this does not come around often. And Sadiq feels like the kind of piece that would change the ceiling of the offense, not just the look of the depth chart. So let me throw this to you. If you were the GM, would you make a real move up for Kenyan Sadiq even with other needs on the roster? Or would you stay put and bet on less explosive alternatives? Some signings arrive and instantly become the headline. Others show up and quietly fix part of the problem. And sometimes that is exactly what a team in construction needs. Jihad Ward fits that second category, and honestly, I think a lot of people might be underrating what that could mean for New England. The Patriots already addressed the spot by bringing in Demario Douglas, but nobody who follows this team closely really believes the work is done there. It is not. This defense still needs more weight, more rotation, and more players who can squeeze the pocket without forcing the coordinator to manufacture pressure on every long down. Last year, this team finished only 22nd in the league in sacks per game. That does not match a defense that wants to control games. That looks like a unit still arriving half a second late, and Ward, in the right role, can help cut off exactly that delay. His season in Tennessee was legitimately productive. 5 sacks, 4 pass breakups, 22 quarterback hits, 47 pressures, and a steady presence on the field. He was not some veteran just hanging on. He was useful, healthy, and capable of delivering real work in real NFL situations. For a Patriots team that may choose to attack other needs early in the draft, that matters. What gets my attention here is not pretending Ward is some magic fix. That is not the point. The exciting part is seeing a fit that is logical, cheap, and functional. If New England waits until day 2 or even day 3 to draft an edge rusher, somebody has to hold the bridge while that rookie learns, rotates, gets stronger, and adjusts to NFL speed. Ward can be that guy, especially on third down where experience and snap recognition matter. And let's talk cost, because that is where this gets even more interesting. His last few deals have all been modest, and even with SpotTrack estimating something around 1 year for $4.1 million, the market still has not rushed to meet that number. If that price drops closer to $2 million, then it gets really hard not to like it. Now you are talking about low risk, possible impact, and an edge group that becomes a lot less dependent on one answer in the draft. This is not the flashy move. It is the move that makes the roster more serious. And sometimes that is exactly how a team starts getting tougher for real. Now the conversation gets more delicate because it touches a player the fan base has grown to like, and at the same time it runs straight into a rumor that just will not leave Foxborough alone. If this push for A.J. Brown really picks up later on, the impact does not stop with adding a star. It hits the rest of the receiver room too, and it could push Demario Douglas right into the middle of an uncomfortable decision. Douglas was never treated like some luxury name. His value has always been in the quickness, the separation, and that energy he brings as a player who can rip out important yards without needing to dominate national headlines. But roster building is also math, fit, and contract timing, and that is where this gets tight. He is entering the final year of his deal, and when you look at a possible room with Brown, Romeo Doubs, Mac Hollins, Kayshon Boutte, and other young pieces competing for space, the question stops being emotional and becomes strategic. Some people are reading this moment as setup for a possible draft day trade, especially if New England views Douglas as an asset that could bring back a useful pick. A fourth rounder, for example, would change the way a lot of people around the league would look at this kind of move. Not because Douglas cannot help, but because the Patriots may feel there is still market value there before they lose control of the situation later. As a fan, I look at this with two reactions at once. The first is frustration, because Pop has identity, he connects with the fan base, and he brings a type of spark you do not just find anywhere. The second is understanding how roster building works. If Brown comes in as the true lead target and Boutte locks in his role after last season's jump, Douglas becomes exactly the kind of player who could attract outside interest without leaving the group broken. But this is the key point. New England cannot make a move just to make one. If Douglas gets moved, it has to be because there is a bigger offensive plan behind it, not because somebody fell in love with the idea of flipping assets. War room question for the fan base. Would you keep Demario Douglas even with all this building up? Or would you accept the trade if it helped clear the way for a stronger offense around Drake Maye? I'll admit this right now. If this projection actually plays out the way it was written, a lot of people are going to react with instant confusion. And I get it. Chad Reuter has Eli Stowers going to the Patriots at pick 31, and that kind of projection lights up debate immediately because it is not the name that shows up with the same weight on every board. Some analysts see first-round talent because of the athletic profile and the receiving threat. Others look at the overall rankings and do not see that kind of value at this spot. That is why this story cannot be read only through the shock. The fit is real. New England lost Austin Hooper, still leans heavily on Hunter Henry, and clearly could use a tight end with more explosion in the passing game. When Reuter talks about an athletic profile that reminds him of names like Noah Fant and Evan Ingram, he is pointing to a weapon that changes how a defense responds. And with Drake Maye still growing, that matters. The problem is that the draft is not just about liking the player, it is about where you take the player, and that is where the fan base gets split. Dane Brugler, for example, had Stowers only around 63 on his board. So if the Patriots love the talent, maybe the smartest move is not to sit at 31 and pull the trigger there. Maybe the better move is to trade back, add value, and still try to land the same target. Honestly, that would make a lot of sense for a team that still has holes in other areas and needs to squeeze as much value as possible out of every important pick. There is also the blocking question. As a receiver, Stowers is explosive, expands the passing window, and creates mismatches. That part is clear, but at the NFL level, the full package still has to come together, and the first round usually demands that with a lot more pressure. You pick a player there because you believe in the impact, but also because you want to shrink the margin for error. If New England sees him as a true difference maker, fine. But then they need to be fully convinced the development will match the investment. At the end of the day, this is what a good mock should do. It should force a real debate. Because this is not just asking whether Eli Stowers is talented, it is asking whether the Patriots are ready to back that kind of bet with their first bullet in the chamber. When I put all four of these stories together, the message feels really clear to me. New England is moving into the kind of off-season stretch where ordinary decisions might not be enough. If the Patriots truly want to speed up Drake Maye's protection and put more weight on this roster, they are going to have to read the market with courage and stop letting good opportunities pass by just because they are afraid to move. Whether it is trading up for rare talent, reinforcing the pass rush, reshaping the receiver room, or getting smarter about the value of pick 31, all of it points to the same demand. Now I want to hear from Patriots Nation. Which one of these four fronts hits you the hardest right now? Subscribe to the channel and stay close because Foxborough is still heating up.